QR code, my social credit, so I can travel, so I can get my doctor's appointment, dentist appointment, my health service, my bank service, so I can just about try and operate in society. I am a good citizen, I promise you. A little bit more insight for you there, guys. China is the blueprint, folks, for everything that is happening at the moment, including, of course, regarding the digital ID. Another little insight into you there. Please scan it, please, please, please. Big niche from me. I don't know about you, but that's a big F-off. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to start out with a little blast from the past, and then we're going to come a little bit more up to date in terms of where we are, including, actually, speaking of health services, the latest update on how the NHS might look moving forward. In fact, how it is going to look, which again is, well, it's all starting to tie in and piece together, ladies and gents. But let's, as I said, let's start with a blast from the past.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With rising deficits in the NHS, huge costs of pension reform and tighter pressures on public spending, how can the Prime Minister claim that spending at least £600 million a year on his ID card scheme is a good use of public money?
Because if we introduce an ID card scheme and reduce identity fraud, that makes a major difference to the costs of government, to the costs of doing business. And in today's world, if we want to tackle illegal migration, crime and identity fraud, then using the new biometric technology to have ID cards is an important part of doing so.
Nothing changes. Nothing changes, ladies and gents. Absolutely zero. Yeah, this is from the 2000s. Yeah, this is 20 years old plus, right? Nothing's changed. The playbook is there, and it's a little bit like, well, of course it failed back then. You may be old enough to have been a big part of that even and said a big niche then too. Hang on a minute. Why do we need this? As you just said there, pretty much exactly the same thing that they're saying now. It was rejected back then. But it's like the playbook comes back out. Hey, let's have another go. You know, post 2020 where there's a few happenings there. Yeah, well, that seemed to be all right. Let's have another crack at it, shall we? Nothing changes, guys. Like literally nothing changes. And here's the update on it all as well. Old Blair here looking pretty cozy with... You may have heard of Larry Ellison, the CEO of Oracle. And according to the old Googleage, he's the second richest man in the world. Just behind Elon himself. Very strong on the old keshish, of course, on paper in regards to richest people. All depends on how you Dr. Google things. But basically, this from the Daily Mail is along with all the other rumours, if you like, in relation to where the money's going, the contracts, and how all this digital ID and the link up with it. And as I said, we'll come back to the old NHS very shortly. But how it's all sort of tying together, who the winners are going to be, and how it might look. Larry Ellison is also the guy who I believe in the US is going to be instrumental in the takeover of TikTok. Yeah. So like Elon with the old twatters, Larry here is going to have a big deal in regards to another massive social media presence, the TikTokers. Yeah. It's kind of all rolling into one in regards to how things might look, right? So, in regards to this, let's play this little ditty.
When you come to government and what government's doing, there are artificial intelligence tools, and some of them I know that Oracle have developed around financial management for government. But also, tell us a bit about what, because you're right at the forefront of this revolution, what it means for what government should do in terms of its digital infrastructure, digital ID, data centers, and so on.
Smile there, salivation from Blair, please tell us, the state, the government, what we should be doing, because of course it ultimately comes back to the same thing. Follow the money. The money is where it's at, isn't it? If you ever partook in the series American Gods, which I highly recommend, it was a very, very strong series. The idea being, I'll try and make it very brief in regards to what it is in case you do watch it and they haven't yet. But the idea is that the place is run by certain gods, new and old gods. And of course, as part of the new gods, there are things like media, social media, and those sort of bits. Kind of gives you an idea of how it operates. However, the overriding important thing out of all of those gods is the gods that they all report into, which is kind of on line with this. And you could probably guess, it's the god of money. The god of money, yeah. It's the person who controls the money is the overall god.
How do you take advantage of these incredible AI models? And the first thing a country needs to do is to unify all of their data so it can be consumed and used by the AI model. You have to take all of your healthcare data, your diagnostic data, your electronic health records, your genomic data. And in the Middle East, in the UAE, for example, they're incredibly rich in data. They have a lot of population data. The NHS.
Yeah. Okay, that's enough of that in regards to, I think it kind of sums up again. We're going to come back to the NHS in just a second, actually. But in regards to the overall situation, exactly what they're talking about there in regards to bringing it all together. All the stuff that we're seeing with a rollout of more cameras and surveillance, the NHS going more online hospitals, as I said, we'll come back to that. But just still in line with this and the old Mr. T. Blair, the latest is, you may have heard, is that he's going to be on a board of peace in the Middle East. Yeah. When it comes to Palestine and Israel and everything that's going on there, Trump... US President calls former British Prime Minister Tony Blair a good man, saying he will be one of those involved on the board of peace. Now, I know, guys, that we live in a pretty inverted, upside-downy type world, do we not? And when I hear stuff like that, it really tends to highlight those facts. Anyway, in regards to this NHS stuff, have you heard... Well, a new world is coming. NHS, online hospitals. Well, in regards to the safe and effective, and it being an amazing thing for you as an individual, well, apparently it's going to save millions upon millions of appointments. It's going to make things more safe and effective than you've ever seen in your lifetime, right? And how might all this stuff work? Well, as you can imagine, this is probably the best sort of example I can give you. Think about either having an interaction live, like let's say you're in your company and you have a live meeting, right? You know, it's meeting upon meetings. Let's say you work for the council. You have about 25 a day with premium coffees and donuts. So you'll have live meetings. Then when you compare that to, say, a Zoom meeting online, right, it's quite different, isn't it? Yeah, it's a little bit more sterile, a little bit more, well, it's certainly less human, isn't it? Well, imagine the NHS running a little bit more like that. You see, all these saved appointments and the NHS going online basically means that patients will be at home, yeah, in their own bed, but they'll be linked up and all the scanning, all the monitors, everything that you would expect in regards to that personal care, you know, from nurses and all the rest of it. Oh, hang on a minute. I think you'll find that people will still receive that. Yeah, but it will be like not having that actual physical meeting and having a Zoom meeting. Yeah, you might get together every now and again. You might get to see a nurse every now and again or have a little bit of human interaction every now and again. But it won't be like being in the hospital. Yeah, you won't actually be having that all-round human care. Yeah, I mean, look, in regards to the positives and negatives of being in the hospital, for example, you know, let you work that out for yourself. And I'm sure many people would prefer to be at home. But there's stuff there that, again, it kind of falls in line with that humanless shopping experience as well. You know, like the Amazon Fresh that are all shutting down now, by the way. Yeah, because people didn't want it. Yeah, again, imagine that sort of stuff. The surveillance, monitoring, AI, and just utter humanless, sterile type experiences. That's your future. That's your online experience. That is your digital ID. And just on that, actually, who would place a safe bet that in the future, if you haven't got your digital ID, that you won't be able to potentially access that new world of online NHS? And then going forward, if you want that good citizen, going back to the original clip that I played you, please scan. If you don't fit into that, well, will you get your health service at all? Ta-ta.